right, guys, as mentioned last week, this week we're doing a continuation with author and team leader Nick McLean. Just so much, this was packed with so much good information for you guys as you're getting into real estate. So
an enjoyable conversation too.
Yeah, not for those of you that are just getting in, but those are you guys that are in real estate and progressing in real estate. So this is going to be a continuation of last week's episode. Such good information, and so stay tuned. You're going to love it.
Yeah, let's jump in.
Welcome to the Agent Bridge podcast. I'm Brandon Baca, Marine Corps veteran and 15-year realtor, broker, and coach.
And I'm Arl Hessen. I'm a Fortune 500 C-suite executive, real estate investor, and entrepreneur.
The Agent Bridge is the proven path to real estate success without the burnout. I want to go backwards, though, because we talk about this a lot. Maybe we don't say enough about it, but reading, like what you're putting into your brain, is so critical to redoing your neural pathways and becoming a real estate salesperson.
These skills don't just fall out of the sky. Yeah. I mean, they don't. Like, you have to, acquire them somehow, whether it's experience or through other people's experiences or whatever.
Yeah, it's just a critical element.
It's a critical element. It really is. So what I found for a hack for me was, and I remember year 2, year 3, I was reading all these books, and I made a rule. I like having rules for myself. You can call them commitments or whatever, but I like rules. I will implement what I read. And I've met a lot of real estate agents, a lot of real estate team leaders, business owners. They read a lot. And I'm like, man, based on how many books you've read and listened to, you should be doing better. Right?
Yeah.
Like you've read Jim Collins' Good to Great. You've read Beyond Entrepreneurship. You've read all the books I've read. Why are you still struggling? Because all that wisdom's in there. They never implement. They never implement. If I hear someone say to me, if I were to teach somebody something, an agent or team leader, because I coach one-on-one, that's a good idea, that means they're not going to do it. That's a good idea. So knowing things work, knowing things are good ideas, doesn't matter. You have to do them, right? So many people think being smart and knowing the answer is the key to success. No, it's not, because we were trained that way in public school and private school, right? Know the answer, take the test, get it right. And getting it right is what's going to get you to the next course, the next class, the next degree, the next certificate. No, getting it right, knowing it and doing it is going to get you to where you want to go. So I would read a book and I would implement it somehow, some way. I'd build a system. If I read a sales book, I would implement that marketing strategy, that headline, that hiring ad. I would use that line on the phone, right? And that was my goal for the day. It's almost like if you want to improve your vocabulary, you need to read more, but you also need to use the words.
Well, that whole process of while you're, because you should be out doing lead generation, you should be out doing appointments, but if you're continually perfecting your skills and you're reading those things and you're implementing that, you're having a great time. You're like, hey, I tried this thing and it worked, right? And it keeps you in that state of mind of growth, which I think, to me, what I tell our agents is like, really the thing that actually makes you happy is growth. It's not the pursuit of free time or pleasure or whatever the case may be. The thing that actually is going to make you happy is growing. So, it's just that I remember that time and being a new agent and reading alongside doing the lead generation and what a blast that was.
Well, and as you acquire skills, your hour of prospecting can probably be done more efficiently. Maybe you get it done in 30 minutes because you're just better at it.
Exactly.
Totally. And I believe in mastery in terms of the way I live my life. And that is, doing something that is hard or difficult and challenging. And all things are at the beginning, but through repetition, practice, the seeking more knowledge in this subject here's the key to mastery for me, become easier and more enjoyable So prospecting, really, really hard. It actually is. Sales, really, really hard. But the more I do it, the better I get, the easier it becomes, and it's more enjoyable.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you can do things that are hard that other people aren't willing to do, and do it enough, over time, it's fun.
Yeah.
And then they look at you like you're crazy. So there's a point in my life right now, like I'll get on stage and make live phone calls
Yeah.
to prospects from anywhere in the nation. I do live phone calls in front of my team and clients, and I have fun doing it. I love people watching me do it,
Hmm.
you know?
That's
And I
crazy.
have so much fun with it. And I think
Uh-huh.
that's the word, is I have fun with it. Like I talk to the person on the other end of the phone and I'm having fun.
Yeah.
Right. And I'm just playful. I'm a commercial airline pilot, analytical, high C, like at a party, I'm in the corner, but you get me on the phone or, because I've practiced it so much, I'm so playful. And it's part of me that I didn't know existed. And it's just a beautiful thing. So for anyone listening to this, there's parts of you that are going to come out that are going to be beautiful, and you're really going to enjoy it. And I know this kind of existential on that, but it's true.
Yeah.
I felt it for myself.
That's great. So, okay, so that's 0 to 6 figures. It's just basically embracing that you are a salesperson and perfecting that skill. So
Yeah,
what's
and applying it
and applying it. Yeah, at the
Yes.
application of it. So what's 6 to 7?
6 to 7. So 6 to 7 is, I've seen it done a number of ways. For me, it was starting a team.
Mm-hmm.
It was starting a team, and it was people, for sure. It was adding people to the process and to the systems that I have in place. And so it was, because at some point you're going to run out of time.
Yeah.
At some point you're going to run out of time. So I'll give you an example. So I went that year, I went to 32 homes. The next year I went to 62 homes, right? Solo.
Ooh.
And
Delegation needs to be.
no assistant, right? I don't remember a single thing that happened in my personal life that year.
Yeah. You didn't have a personal life that year.
Nope, not one. And so I actually regret selling. I don't regret selling 60 homes. I don't regret it, but I missed that year. A whole year of my life, Men in Black, gone.
Yeah.
Right? And so out of that became the necessity to figure out, how do I get leverage? And so that was an executive assistant. That was the assistant. And that is key, to have an assistant. Now, what's cool is their teams didn't exist back then. And so there's these teams that are already in place that already have an abundance of trained listing coordinators, trained transaction coordinators, trained inside sales, like all these people, like built-in assistants. That's why I tell my team members now, is like, you sold 10 homes last year. You join my team, you now have 33 assistants, full-time assistants. And so that key was an assistant, an executive assistant. And then just delegating the non-dollar productive activities to them. Okay. And then focusing on listings, getting listings, more and more listings, marketing those listings to attract more buyers. And then when I had too many buyers, then bringing on agents to work those buyers. And there's a point in which you got to be really honest with yourself that you think you're better than you really are. So when you go from 30 to 60, what got you there is you were delivering a better service in the marketplace.
Mm-hmm.
And people could tell your work ethic, your drive, your knowledge, right? You may not have all the experience, but you were out hustling people. But at some point, you're not actually giving them that level anymore, because you're getting spread really thin. And so for me, I realized that when my past clients weren't coming back to me as often, Um, I was missing out on opportunities, and I had to eat a piece of humble pie and say, okay, I got to bring people on,
Mm-hmm.
not for the money, for my goodwill and reputation,
Hmm.
right? And so that's when I created my team in 2012, right?
Right. So, yeah, and that's even loaded, in terms of, because when you are adding team members, then you have to teach them all of the processes, and then you have to delegate, and they're not as good as you are, and they can't read your mind, and you're having to. So, I mean, a lot of that too, in terms of just becoming a leader, probably is pretty heavy and pretty loaded.
Yeah. So I hear this all the time, right? I can't, people say they're not going to do it as well as I can.
Mm-hmm.
You're, the ego starts getting in the way of the top producer's growth
Yeah.
real quick. Because I think the way you perceive yourself isn't actually what you're delivering sometimes. I think we think about ourselves in terms of what our intentions, not our actions. And so when you're doing 50, 60, 100 deals, I unless you have 4 or 5 assistants, I don't think you're delivering it, right? And the truth is, there's going to be, when you start creating a team or a brokerage, people are going to surprise you. And I've had some aha moments in my life, in my career, as I invested in people and trained people. Like you were saying, you got to now train them to what you do. You now have to explain what you do. That's the hardest part for a lot of people. Is
Mm-hmm.
Michael Jordan was a terrible coach.
Yeah.
Michael Jordan's a terrible coach, right? Because he would just look at people and say, why'd you do that? Why didn't you just jump from the free throw line and dunk it?
Mm-hmm.
Didn't you see the opportunity there? Why didn't you do a fadeaway 3? It's easy, right? Just do this. And it's like, that's what happens to top producers. They're like, just do what I do. And you forgot the fact that you were really bad your first year too.
Yeah.
And you were probably really bad in your second year. And yeah, you might have sold some homes, but you overcame it with just pure
Mm-hmm.
pig-headed discipline,
Grit.
right? Can you break down what you do, what makes you special, or what makes the process special, and train it to somebody? And I think that's really the key. And so what I was going to say is, as you get an assistant, I've never had an assistant that I didn't think, it's almost every single time within 30 days, I think they're never going to get it.
Hmm.
I was telling my wife this last night. First 30 days, they're never going to get it. Maybe I made the wrong hire. Day 30 to day 60, oh, they're picking up on stuff and doing it without me having to explain it to them anymore. Day 60 to 90, you know you made a good hire, because then they start telling you what you're about to forget.
Mm.
They're picking up your mistakes. And that's when the aha moments come in. And then they take some of the stuff you've implemented and made it better. That's a great hire. And you'll find those people. They're out there. And they don't want to be you at all.
I think most important lesson is, when we talk about delegation and moving to the next phase, I think, like, hey, look, as a real estate agent, the first thing you need to get as a transaction coordinator to delegate the paperwork part of it.
Yeah.
But in talking about the delegation, there's something that you brought up, and this is something we've talked about before, which is just ego.
Yeah, it's
right. Getting your ego out of the way, and thinking like, you're God's gift to real estate. And the reality of it is, you are going, it's like, look, you're unique. I will say that there are top producing real estate agents have a uniqueness to them, right?
Sure.
They're hardworking, right? They're great with people. You have to be. You've got sort of an internal drive, but there is a point at which the ego starts to get in the way of their own growth.
absolutely every time.
Yep. And so
there's also the dichotomy of the ego, is the ego in which they say, the person that's looking at the top producer saying, yeah, but I don't want that. I don't want their life. or they assume that because they're a top producer that they're giving up something else, they're sacrificing,
Right.
and that holds them back from becoming a top producer.
Hmm.
And I can tell you this, that there's ways to do it where you could become a top producer and have more time too.
Well, on
You
that
can-
note,
you can.
you talk about clocking out at 11 a.m. Okay.
Yeah.
How was that even? So, any top producers that are listening, they're probably wondering, real estate agents that are just getting started, how is that even possible for someone who's a real estate professional to clock out at 11 a.m.?
Well, at 11 a.m., here's you aren't in production.
Okay.
You're not in production.
Right.
Like there's no sales agent that's going to clock out at 11 in production.
Yeah.
I don't think, and have 7 figures. It's a really strong operational core. So on a team level, really strong operational core with leaders. And when I mean leaders is they've been delegated leadership responsibilities, that they own certain areas of the business and can make decisions without your approval. Not all decisions, but there's a majority of the decisions can be made. They can make those, right? So for me, I have transaction coordinators, listing coordinators, director of sales, director of recruiting, right? Director of marketing, which is a really hard one to give up. I still market every single day, right? But they have a good suite of decisions that I feel I trust them to be able to make on a day-to-day operational basis. Now, that doesn't mean I give up the responsibility. I'm the owner. I'm the leader. I'm the visionary. So that means they have to report to me. So to be able to get off at 11 or anything like that, you have to have a good reporting system. Okay. And I think that goes, to the agent that's listening to this too, solo agent, reporting is a concept that I think is important in sales too. For instance, set the tone to your clients and your leads, your buyers, your sellers. When you communicate with them, they will confirm they got it. This will change your life. Confirm receipt. Acknowledge. Have you ever sent a property to a buyer and they didn't, what'd you think? And they don't respond. Which ones do you like? They never respond. Train your people. Hey, when I send you communication, please let me know you got it. And I will train my clients that, if I send you a text and I say, please let me know you got this, and they don't, I will follow up with them until they do. Because I want them to know I'm not going to send communication over, because that's the only thing I have. We don't have inventory unless you're a builder. We don't have inventory, and we don't make things.
Yeah.
We don't have inventory. We don't make things. We're purely a vessel, a conduit for communication. That's all we are. And the clearer the line of communications, the more money I'm going to make, the more freedom I'm going to have. Right? Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
So the more I can communicate and the clearer it is and the more it's connected, the better. So I will just get with my people, like confirm, because as a commercial airline pilot, if you take off and you don't make reports on your way, you know what the company has to do? So you take off and they don't hear from you for like an hour. It's a 4-hour flight. What will the company do?
They're going to, I don't know.
They're going to assume you're going down, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're going to call search and rescue.
Yeah.
Wow.
So in my mind, I'm thinking, if I'm calling a client and they don't respond to my emails, or if I call my assistant, or if I email my assistant, or if I'm trying to get a hold of escrow or title or the lender and they don't respond back to me, I'm going to call search and rescue. Who's your emergency contact? When I'm on because I'm calling them too.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And it's just out of pure necessity for me and the way I think. It's kind of weird. When I enter a mountain bike race, I have to put Emily emergency contact, right? In case I don't make it back.
Yeah.
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 So think about that. And so many agents drop the ball because it's really they're dropping the communication ball. So to be off by 11, it's you establish super clean, clear communication channels and reporting. And so I always own the morning. Like I own the morning 7 days a week. So life is a barbell. If you want to get off by 11, guess what? You don't get really days off.
Well, I want to make sure we're good on time because I've still got a couple more questions if you're okay with it.
Yeah.
Okay. So one of the things that is unique about you and your team specifically is that you're a small market, right? But you have a tremendous amount of market share. What
Yeah.
I can't remember what's the market share that you have in your.
Yeah. At times we've been up to 20%.
Okay, 20% market share
Yeah. At
for a real
times. Yeah.
estate team is tremendous.
Yeah. And it varies from 8 to 20
Sure.
depending on the years and if it's new, because we don't do a lot of new construction. So when the new construction started dominating the sales,
Hmm.
that changed the dynamic. But yeah, year over year, we're up there.
Yeah, so you're not going like there's nowhere you go in your town where somebody doesn't go, "Hey, Nick," right? So what I mean for real estate agents that's a top producer because that's where you're kind of going into that sort of additional market share. What do you think are the fundamentals to building that additional market share? Is it just the adding of team members and growing them? Is it marketing? Is it what is it that helps you gain that additional market share?
Well, there's a couple strategies there, and I talk about it in my book too. And you can go wider.
Mhm.
You could also go deeper. And so my marketplace is 70,000 people, up to 100,000 people.
Okay.
Okay. And I hear it all the time. Well, Nick, you're in a small town. Okay, great. Well, I have clients in Toronto,
Mhm.
and that's the top, number 5 city in North America. Or I have clients in San Diego, LA. Is there a marketplace of 100,000 people within your city, within your metro, within your area
Mhm.
that you can become the 800-pound gorilla in? Or you can be the top 3? Life's so much easier when you're in the top 3 or the top 2,
Mm.
right? You've heard this before, Pepsi, Coke, and RC Cola. Like the sales are drastically different. So one strategy is define your sandbox. Really define your sandbox. And go deep into that sandbox in terms of marketing, geo-targeting, right? Because now that you have that strategy in mind, you can now be tactical, right? What are all the schools, and what are the school boards, and what are the charities that are there, and what are the events, and what are who are the business owners in there? And I think we always think of ourselves as B2C, business to consumer, which I found fascinating. That I wanted to make more money, right?
Mhm.
And there's ways about in my book, ways to make more money, right? Sell more homes, sell higher priced homes, and get higher commissions. And if you can do all 3, you don't make a little bit more money. You make geometrically more money, right? So to
Mhm.
go back and go from 6 figures to $1 million, 6 to 7,
Mhm.
more homes, higher priced homes, and higher commissions.
Mm.
You got to all 3.
Right.
Okay. And notice I didn't say split.
Hmm.
No.
Yeah.
See, agents, they go to the split first.
Yeah.
Thinking, oh, well, then I don't have to sell as many homes, and I don't have to have as high a commission, and I don't have to have I don't have to increase my price points. They got it backwards because
Mhm.
increasing your split will not geometrically grow your income. I'll say that again. And you might be thinking, well, Nick, you're the broker. Of course you're going to say that. Well,
It's true though.
It's true, but I was an agent too,
Yeah.
right? And I was on 50-50 splits.
Yeah.
Guess what? You focus on units, price point, and commission first,
Mhm.
because that will geometrically grow your income. And if you want to work harder, not smarter, that's what you do first.
Right.
Because I've seen this happen to agents over and over again. They get a better split and they work less.
Yeah. They don't make any
Guess
more
what
money.
happens?
Yeah.
Guess what happens?
Hmm.
Let me see your tax return,
Yeah.
right? Okay, so let's go back to going deep, right? So you can now go, okay, and when you're in the top 1 to 3 in that certain sandbox that you've defined, you can command a higher commission. The business owners know who you are. And let me get back to the business owners. I read a book on affluent sellers, affluent real estate sellers, and just I was studying affluency a lot, high-end luxury, because I wanted to increase my price points. I wanted to go from manufactured homes to
Hmm.
homes on the lake.
Yeah.
Seems smart. It was something crazy like I don't know what year it was, but let's say 2 decades ago, and I don't think it's changed much. 57% of all high-end and luxury homes were owned by business owners. I thought it was like doctors, surgeons, attorneys. No, it
Hmm.
was business owners. Yeah, yeah. So when I realized that, I was like, oh, I got to know all the business owners.
Hmm.
And you know who business owners love talking to? Other business owners. I
Yeah.
mean, look at us right now.
Yeah, that's right.
Here's what happens to business owners and entrepreneurs as they grow and get successful. They lack connections and relationships and friendships. They actually seek out friendships. A lot of people join masterminds because they're looking for like-minded friends.
Yes.
They're looking for connections and relationships. So one ascension model for me locally was me going, oh man, I've been busting my tail for 5, 6, 10 years. I'm actually a little lonely too. And I want to talk to other business owners and entrepreneurs. So I started reaching out to entrepreneurs in my marketplace that were doing other things, that owned the retail shop, that owned the coffee shops, that was opening up more than one coffee shop, that owned the car washes, the auto dealers, right?
Hmm.
And you get relationships with them. Woo! I was just telling a friend in another marketplace, small market, 10,000 people. Told him the same thing. I said, you write down the top 25 influential people in your town of 10,000 and you take them out to coffee.
Hmm.
Let me know what happens to your business in
Yeah,
a
that's
year.
right. They
Right?
appreciate it, you know?
And guess what? They don't expect me to work with their referrals one-on-one.
Hmm. That's right.
Like, you know what I mean? So I have a team that I can refer to. So I'm actually building bigger relationships that I can refer to my agents in my marketplace. So that got me from like 6%, 8% to 10, and better at times, right?
Huh.
So that's one strategy or a tactic I think you could have. Now the other one is you have to realize that when I hit 20% market share, and I haven't been there every single year, but that year I did, I was like, okay, I got 20, let's go to 40.
Hmm.
What I realized was there was no amount of radio ads, there was no amount of billboards, there was no amount of ads that would get me there.
Hmm.
There was a law of diminishing return because I wasn't losing business to the top agents. I was losing business to the average agent and to the less than average agent because I'm not at every church.
Yeah.
I'm not on every school board. I'm not every PTA meetings. I'm not on every coach, right? So there's so many agents out there that if you want to grow wide, you have to have agents on your team that are in pockets,
Yeah.
different pockets outside of those sandboxes. So that's the way I think about it.
That's right. Man, this has been so helpful. Again, if you haven't, or if you forgot the name, it's called Million Dollar Agent. God, this has been a great interview. I think one of the things that I like to ask each of the people that we have on is, hey, what are your 3 favorite books? Right? So we have yours, right?
Besides the one I
besides
wrote.
the one what are your 3 favorite books for real estate agent?
Oh, for a real estate agent?
Well, no, just I guess maybe just your 3 favorites.
Okay, so top of mind right now. The Psychology of Money by Morgan Housel. I actually worked with him for over a year prior to me writing my book. That book sold over 3 million copies. Is a great read, and I think understanding money is going to and getting through the limiting beliefs that we have around money is going to be really impactful for you and for your life. I also love BE 2.0, Beyond Entrepreneurship by Jim Collins.
Mhm.
There's also Beyond Entrepreneurship and BE 2.0. I listen or read that every single year as a business leader, and I recommend that highly. Couple other books. Thinking Fast and Slow by Daniel Kahneman
Mhm.
is such a fantastic book, and so many books have been written because the author read that book and they take one of the ideas. There's probably 100 ideas in there,
Mhm.
and they'll take one and it'll be a whole book. So you can think about how dense and awesome that book is.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's an amazing book. Now, for real estate agents, Robert Cialdini, Influence.
Hmm.
Understanding that book, Influence, will help you in marketing, advertising, sales, scripting, human behavior. And so I would recommend those. And I could go on because I ride my bike all the time. I'm like
Yeah,
you
you're listening
guys.
to books all the time.
I'm listening to audibles all the time. Yeah.
That's great. Well, Nick, again, thank you so much for sharing your time and wisdom with us on the podcast. Again, the book $1 Million Agent by Nick McLean. Listeners, please take some time. We're going to be doing some more great interviews coming up, so make sure you take the time to like and subscribe, comment, tell us what you loved about this episode. And again, Nick, thank you so much. We're so happy to have you.
Yeah. Thanks, Nick.
Yeah, really
Appreciate your
fun.
time.
Yeah, really fun.
Awesome.